ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. We are reading from the book Meditation and Spiritual Life by Swami Yatiswarananda, and we are currently in the chapter titled From the Unreal to the Real, which is chapter 27 in part 3, which is titled Spiritual Experience. Starting the section Nature of the Physical World. Whatever becomes the object of your consciousness is Maya, that is phenomenon, and you must separate the knower from the known, the seer from the seen, the witness from all the things he is witnessing, the perceiver from the things perceived. There must be merciless, clear analysis and clear thinking at every stage of the spiritual journey. According to the German philosopher Kant, the external object is there, but we do not know its real nature. When we see it, time and space contribute something to the perception. The Vedantin says that what Kant calls space, time, and causation is Maya, and that it has to be transcended. Kant did not see any means to transcend it, so he said that the thing in itself could never be known. Vedanta knows the means and tells you how to do it. Kant did not know of the possibility of transcending the mind and the world of phenomena, of separating the seer completely from the seen. Vedanta begins where Kant left off. Physical objects are always percepts, being perceived by one or other of the sense organs. The sense organs themselves become percepts to the mind. In its turn, the mind becomes a percept to the self, which is always the witness or the perceiver and can never become a percept, as this would mean a regression ad infinitum. A regressus ad infinitum. We must stop somewhere. In Vedanta, consciousness is always stressed. Subject and object, mind and matter, all exist in consciousness. We should never lose sight of this fact. Otherwise, there is a danger of our muddling up everything and losing sight of the true issue. In deep sleep, consciousness is present. After waking from sleep, we say, quote, I knew nothing, unquote. But to enable us to say, quote, I knew nothing, unquote, consciousness must have been present during sleep. One cannot, therefore, predicate a time when consciousness is not. It is only when a man believes that there is something distinct from himself that he has a desire for the possession of that something, whatever it be. The very fact of his having any desire itself is a proof that he has already developed the idea of his being a subject, and that everything other than himself is an object. That is why for an illumined soul, perfect desirelessness is an accomplished fact, as he has full control over himself. Such a soul, having realized the one without a second, has nothing to desire, as there are no objects for such a soul. Next section, the real and the apparent. The screw is to be unscrewed now, just in a reverse order. After the process of evolution and superimposition comes the process of going back to the cause, involution or desuperimposition. So by the way, in Sanskrit, superimposition is often called adhyaropa, and desuperimposition is called apavada. Adhyaropa, apavada. Superimposition, desuperimposition. From the gross to the subtle, from the subtle to the causal, then a long jump, and you have the eternal self at the back of all. But first comes a life of preparation, of scrubbing and cleaning, for so long as any impurity is to be found in the mind, the reflector can never reflect the light of consciousness properly and perfectly. And our mind is that reflector. That is why all those layers of dirt and dust must be taken off before the mind can even begin to reflect the light in the proper way again. The poorly reflected light is the whole trouble with us now. It distorts the reality and creates delusions and illusions. The Vedantin believes in evolution as a stage in life, but never as the ultimate goal. And to him, even this evolution is merely an appearance. Maya, never an absolute reality. So, if we speak of evolution at all, this is only meant in a very relative sense, not as an absolute fact. For the absolute self, there is no such thing as evolution at all. The self is the immutable witness of all changes. The whole trouble is that to us the appearance has become real and the reality unreal. It is the most ludicrous situation, really speaking. But fools that we are, we have to pay the price in misery and suffering and no end of disillusionments. All wrong identification must be broken, and this means pain in the beginning. Blessed is pain, pain that is the forerunner of freedom and bliss. The darkness of the world is illumined by the self, but we do not know its true nature and do not see its light, though we live and move with the help of the dim reflected light. Evolution in Advaita Vedanta is not a question of something becoming something else. It is not like the milk becoming curds, then it loses its real nature. But it is like the rope becoming a snake. In this case, the rope does not undergo any real change. But when the rope has been mistaken for a snake, it brings in all the troubles of a real snake, fear, etc. So also, by taking the unreal for the real, we bring for ourselves no end of troubles. The world dream alone appears to be real so long as we are not awake, so long as the vision of the Atman has not come to us. But our waking state has no greater reality than our dream state. Both are equally unreal. The word quote unquote real should not be misconstrued. The perception of a snake in place of a rope is not false in the sense of there being absolutely nothing to account for the appearance of the snake. The rope forms the substratum, the basis on which is superimposed the idea of the snake. Maya is not an illusion in the sense of mere nothingness. It is a term coined to explain how the one immutable Brahman appears as this manifold universe. Even the nirvana of Buddhism does not mean nothingness. Annihilation refers to the destruction of sense experience and the end of sorrow. Even the knowledge of annihilation of anything requires a conscious witness, and that is the self. There can be no knowledge of annihilation without some consciousness being present. How could Buddha have thought for so many years if he had been annihilated in nirvana? Vedanta is a sort of transcendental realism which has, however, a place in it for idealism and realism as these terms are commonly understood. Next section, existence and consciousness. Sat or the real has been described as that which existed in the past, which exists now, and will continue to exist in the future without ever changing its nature or ever undergoing a transformation. Anything that does not satisfy this condition comes under asat or unreal. The unreal may not be absolutely non-existent, but if anything exists for some time and then disappears again or undergoes any change, it belongs to the category of asat, the unreal. And such is the case with the entire phenomenal world without any exception. Certain things are absolutely unreal, cannot exist under any circumstances at any time. For example, castle in the air, horns of a hare, son of a barren woman, etc. These words do not convey any meaning and have no objective counterpart. We can imagine a castle in the air, no doubt, but we can never live in it. As distinct from these, there are things that can be put under the category of empirical reality. They are proved to be unreal only on the realization of the absolute reality. This phenomenal universe which we perceive falls under the category of empirical reality and persists until the dawn of the highest knowledge, the light of which dispels even the shadow of this phenomenal world, even the shadow of our own phenomenal existence. After attaining to the highest illumination, when the illumined person comes down to the plane of the phenomenon, he sees this whole phenomenal existence, but regards it as a shadow, knows it to be an unreality that has no real ultimate existence. In our personality, there is the consciousness of that which is ultimately real mixed up with the consciousness which comes under empirical reality. So our ordinary consciousness is a combination of pure consciousness and a relative subject-object consciousness. And to the extent we are able to eliminate the phenomenon, to that extent we become spiritual. The link between our experience of the world and the experience of the self of Brahman lies not on the side of the phenomenon, but on the side of that which persists under all circumstances, both in the relative and in the absolute states. Our self-consciousness is not altogether wrong, but it consists of a real element and a false element, and the latter has to be eliminated through the realization of the one that manifests itself as many. First of all, an aspirant sees the many, and then he tries to see the one in the many, both the one and the many appearing as real. Advancing further, he realizes that the one alone is real in the true sense of the term, and the phenomenon has only a secondary reality which is entirely dependent on the existence of the one. Vedanta begins with an inquiry into the nature of the self or the I consciousness. It ends with the attainment of the one without a second. Between these two states are a number of intermediate states of consciousness. The aspirant's I consciousness goes on expanding until it embraces the whole existence. Correspondingly, his concept of the world goes on changing. The lines dividing the self, the world, and God become more and more blurred, and finally, the splendor of the Supreme Spirit envelops all existence. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.